Thank you and welcome, everyone. My name is D.J. Hoelscher. I'm an enterprise learning strategist here at Oracle. Thanks for joining the session, 5 Habits to Increase Your Oracle Cloud IQ, Gain the Most Value from Your Oracle Investment. As mentioned earlier, if you do have any questions, please feel free to use the chat function throughout the session. We'll be checking that periodically, as well as at the end of the session, we'll come back and reference any questions that we may have missed during the session as well. As I mentioned, my name is D.J. Hoelscher. A little bit about myself. I'm an enterprise learning strategist here. Feel free to come and join me out on LinkedIn. I do post some things out there periodically, as well as we do have a blog post about this specific topic. So if you're looking for the links to the different websites that I'm going to be talking about today, please go out. You can check out that blog post area there. It's theblogs.oracle.com/Oracle University. You'll find it underneath the Increase Oracle Cloud IQ section there. So my background is I've been working with Oracle University for the past 7 years now. Prior to that, I was actually at an Oracle partner, specifically focused on the Hyperion space. I've been doing this for some time, back since 2006. And the topic of today being the 5 habits really comes from, over the years, all the questions that I've frequently got from individuals of what can I do, where can I stay current, what do I need to do to ramp up on my knowledge and those sorts of things. And I found myself often recommending very similar things, no matter what their background was or what their budgets are, those sorts of things. The thing is just which areas you go and focus on. So today what we're going to do is go into many different areas on some of those 5 habits that I recommend. I'll give you a bunch of different resources that you can go out and take a look at. But really, it's going to be what is best for you. So you can kind of pick and choose based on what I'm providing for you out there today. Just a little bit, I got to pull up our safe harbor here. So today, anything that I'm going over is just on our general product direction. This is for informational purposes. Anything that we do talk about for future states at all, those are just forward-looking statements, and we would need to go into those in further detail. They wouldn't be put into any contract material. So let's talk about our agenda today. First off, we're going to go over a little bit of just the general idea of where do you get some value from increasing your product IQ. We've done a couple case studies and things like that I can talk to. So we're just really trying to set the stage there of why you even want to look at increasing your product IQ. And then we're going to get into these 5 habits. So these are the areas, as I mentioned, that I've kind of found that I often go back to, no matter who I'm talking to, and it's just a matter of which resources and which avenues works best for you, where you're at in your stage of understanding the product, as well as your budgets and time constraints and those sorts of things. So number 1, we'll talk about investing in yourself. That is the number 1 thing. You need to make sure you're spending time in those sorts of things. Number 2 is remaining in the know. Especially in the cloud world today, we need to make sure that we're keeping up with all the new capabilities and things that are coming out in the cloud world. We often say, at the cloud pace or the speed of cloud, we also need to keep our knowledge of the product up that fast as well. The next thing is on finding the answer fast. Not everybody can know every answer. So if you have a right repository of resources to go out to find your answer quickly, that is of high priority. The next one is getting engaged. You need to make sure that you're staying engaged with the right people, the right resources, when you do need some help. Maybe you can't find your own answer and you need someone to go out to. And the last piece, on any good project, any good implementation, we always validate and test. And that certainly comes true even when it comes to your understanding of your product knowledge and ensuring that you're validating that information and testing it as well. So we'll get into all of these in a much deeper component here for you as well. All right, so let's jump in. Again, as I mentioned, if you have any questions, please use the chat function, type those in. I'll try to answer those as I see them come through, but I'll try to stop at the end of each habit section and see if there's anything that came up from the previous one. So number 1, we talk about what is just the value of increasing your product IQ. Why do you even want to listen to me today? So let me give you a little bit of research and understanding behind some of this. So number 1, education it's helping to maximize your productivity. If you're just going day by day and trying to fill in the blanks and figure out what you're doing as you go, you're not going to be that highly productive, highly anticipated work experience that you're going out there. So some of the studies that are out there, that shows an hour of training can save up to 5 hours of lost productivity, as well as untrained users. They end up requiring 6 times more support than trained users. On other studies, it shows, if you receive 40 hours of training per team member on project, those objectives are 3 times more often met by the team if they're receiving only 30 hours less. So that 40-hour mark is oftentimes a big critical piece. Making sure you get a little bit more training, you can be much more productive in meeting those objectives versus if you don't get quite enough training. I've done actually a little bit of studies on my own. I've worked with some of our SRs, so some of the support requests that have come in. I've worked with a number of customers looking at their support requests. And what I've found is there's definitely a major trend on how many SRs are submitted that could fall into that education-related realm versus if they're more highly educated, those knowledge gaps are much fewer. So in this case study that I had done, it was the same customer, same time duration, just 2 different projects going on at the same time. So if you think about this, there's the same customer, same people that they should have kind of the same requirements on their project and those sorts of things. Same type of capabilities and skill sets in the different groups. Well, the one on the left, they said, hey, you know what? We've got experience with this product. We're just moving some of it off into the cloud and upgrading other components that are already there. We're fine. We don't need any help. We don't need any training on this stuff. We'll get this figured out. Well, as you can see, they showed us how much they really do know when they submitted 75% of their SRs that were submitted were in that education-related realm. So we look at those SRs to see which ones could have education helped to reduce the time spent or completely eliminate that SR. 75% of them fell into that category of education-related. On the other side, they had another project going on simultaneously that they were moving to HCM Cloud. And they said, hey, you know what? This is new to us. We've had PeopleSoft and EBS and all these other systems out here in HR. We want to make sure we're doing this right. So they did some project team training. They did some cloud learning subscriptions. They did some training with their system integration team. And their end users were prepared as well. In that case, they had only 19% of their SRs were education-related. Yeah, and oftentimes those cases, what we found in looking more deeper at those were more just validating things. Hey, in our type of environment, we learned this, and does this make sense? So they were, much lower on the. They weren't these critical SRs and top priority type ones. It was just more of validating things. So you can see the huge swing out there. I also did a case study similar to this with a customer where they had administrators, and they felt that they were using Oracle support as their means of trying to learn. So they'd submit an SR if they didn't know the answer and just say, hey, Oracle's got this, and we're waiting for them to respond. So we had their manager come and say, hey, I think that's what they're doing. Can you help me validate that and see? So we did an SR analysis, and we showed them that over 50% of their SRs were on that education-related front. He said, okay, great. Now let's get them some targeted training in the areas that these SRs look like they're having the issues. 4 months later, we pulled the same SR data, and they had dropped their education-related SRs by over 15% just in that 4-month period once they got some more targeted training. So you can see what it can have effect on just SRs and your effectiveness and productivity by just having some of that targeted, pointed education and trying to fill some of those gaps. All right, so that's giving a little bit of framework, giving you a baseline understanding of, hey, this is why this is important. Why do we need to try to raise our IQ and stay on the top of our game? So let's talk about the habits. As I mentioned, these are things that I've learned since, over the last how many years and putting these together, and I find myself repeating these many times. So number one, the first habit is invest in yourself. Let me go. I've got a statement on here. So the first thing, the first investment obviously is the product itself. And there's a lot of money that goes into the product. So obviously we want to make sure that we're leveraging that in the best way. So the next biggest investment that you need to make is in yourself. Invest in your time, and yes, we do have to invest in money at times. You can't find all of your information just on free stuff. So you'll need to make sure that you can go and spend some time with some of the resources that I'm going to talk about here, as well as sometimes you do have to spend a little bit, and it's much quicker to learn that way. So I'll talk about a few different ways that you can do that. One of my favorite quotes out there is, it doesn't really matter if you have the best system in the world. If your users don't know how to use it, it's essentially useless. So whether you're an administrator, a power user, or a user, if you don't know how to use it, if you don't know how to administrate it, if you don't know how to enter data into it, what's the point of it? You could have spent as much time and money on this product, but if it's not usable because people don't know how to use it, it's not going to benefit you whatsoever. So let's invest some time in yourselves, your users, to ensure that we can do that. So first off, a couple things to do. Number one, you can attend conferences. I often do this session at conferences. I actually just did this at our Open World conference. So I'll tell people, hey, number one, you're doing the first thing. You're investing in yourself and spending some time. You'll see another one on here is webinars. So I'm going to say to all of you, congratulations, you're taken care of, and you can check the box right now that, hey, you're starting to do this and investing in yourself. You're spending some time on some webinars and learning some ways to educate yourself about your Oracle product. Other ways to do that, obviously Oracle University. I work for Oracle University here, and what I've found is that there is no better way to go out and learn about the product than from the source itself. I came from the consulting side, I came from a partner side, and I can tell you that without a doubt the education here is top-notch, and you can find everything you need in the learning here. We'll talk a little bit about the opportunities you have to learn through Oracle University, whether it's our free Launchpad all the way down through learning subscriptions, classroom training, and even our end-user guided learning piece. Other ways is through online documentation. Many of you have probably used that many times before, where you go out to Oracle Docs and you look up what you need there, as well as online tutorials and demos. There's a lot of great partners out there, even Oracle themselves, where we do these online tutorial demos. You may find some information out there as well. So let me get a little bit deeper into some of these specific topics and talk a bit more about those. So first off, learning and enablement resources available to you. So if you're starting on a project, this is kind of designed on a project-type basis. If you're kicking off a project, you're working through a project, here's some things where you should find learning. So number one, there should be some in-project knowledge sharing. So this is when you're working with your system integrator, the partners on site, even your Oracle teams that are working with you. There should be obviously some adoption enablement sessions just to help you understand what is this product that we have, where we're at, do those familiarization sessions. As you get further down the line, doing some adoption coaching specifically as to how your product is being implemented, those sorts of things. And then obviously getting into other breakouts and configuration workshops and those sorts of things. From Oracle University, though, we can help overlap and give some more additional very deep dive, broader scope understanding, not just specific to your project. So now let's take a step out and say, let's learn more about this product. And let's understand not only what we were told, how to keep the lights on, how to keep our system going, but let's understand more of the other things so we can bring more information to this project. I can tell you from my own experience, being on the project on the consulting side and going in to meet with customers, and sometimes if you're not at least on a level of having a communication based on the what the product is capable of, the correct terminology, what features and functionality, just on a general basic information is out there. Without being able to have some of that conversation, you're relying solely on the system integrator. And I'll tell you from my own experience that sometimes it's scary. Even from a consultant standpoint, I'll come in and I could go and implement it the same way that we did it at the last customer, but that might not be the way that you guys need it. You know your company better than anybody else. So if you have at least a good general understanding of what the product can do, as well as your own understanding, and then you have your consultant system integrators bringing to the table all of their experience and the different ways that they've implemented it, it becomes a very successful partnership and driving to that overall success of your implementation. So So that's where Oracle University can come into play and provide. We can do needs analysis to help understand, what your team needs, what types of training, what topics, those sorts of things. We can certainly provide instructor-led training. We've often seen where kind of some what we call boot camp or core team training to kind of kick off your project, to get that baseline understanding so that you can provide more of that value into the project as well. We have our ongoing learning subscriptions we'll talk a bit more about. And then towards the end, when we get into your end-user pieces, obviously the Oracle University guided learning. That's been a complete game changer in the way that we can provide information and allow our users to adopt the usage of the Oracle product, but not just learning how to use the Oracle product, but bringing in your own company's policies and procedures and the best practices that you want your users to be using. Other included resources are in the Platinum Education Services, which is our Launchpad I'll talk a bit about here in a minute. You have your Customer Cloud Connect. It's a great resource to find some more information out, as well as My Oracle Support. So let's take a few minutes here. I'm going to dive into the specifics around Oracle University and where you can spend some of your time there if you need to ramp up quickly and learn a lot. So I'm going to take a little while here now, and I'm going to show you what we've got here at Oracle University. Obviously, we're only on step number one, habit number one. We've got a long ways to go and a lot of different resources that I'll be talking about and showing here as we go as well. So first off, here at Oracle University, we have the Oracle Launchpad. And what the Launchpad is it's a free resource to you. It's that introductory awareness type learning, understanding some of the vocabulary and verbiage used around the product. What does a user see when they log into the environment, and getting some of that basic understanding of what does this product do, what is it capable of, helping to get you that, as I mentioned, that introductory awareness type training. Then you can kind of go into the next step. So that Launchpad is really designed for anybody. Whether it's your project team administrators or end users, but it's just that introductory, that getting started type piece with it. Then when you need to take that next step, so maybe you got your project team or your administrators, they need a bit more deeper knowledge. There's a couple things. On the slide here, I've got our cloud learning subscriptions. We also still have instructor-led training. That is still a very valuable resource, and we often see now where we're doing these we kind of do a combination, what we consider a hybrid model, where we come and do these shorter duration boot camp instructor-led trainings to kind of kick things off, to learn the basics and a little bit deeper, more specific to a project team knowledge. And then from there you can take, there's so much information out there. I mean, if you need to go down and learn how to do HCM-based cloud service, or if you need to implement just general ledger in Financials Cloud, I can put you on a learning track that's like 70 hours long. There's a lot of available content out there and learning available. Obviously, you don't want to sit in a classroom doing all that. And that's where we're seeing a lot of the usage, where we're combining the instructor-led piece and then doing these cloud learning subscriptions. It allows your power users, project team members to now take that deeper dive, understand, how do I configure this? How do we want to set this up in our environment? How do I maintain and manage this going forward? And heaven forbid, what do I need to do and understand for these new features? Every quarter we're coming out with something new, and how do I take advantage of that and know about that? All of that information is in the cloud learning subscription. And then the last piece to kind of round that out is, well, what do we do for our end users? There's that guided learning, and guided learning is that in-application learning tool. And I'll talk a bit more about this, but it's specific to your application. It's embedded in your application so that your users see what you have. It's not a simulation or anything like that, but it provides that general information of how to use this product, but also it then goes into, you can add in components specific to your processes and procedures, your best practices and the way that you want your users to do things. So I'll talk a bit more about these. But before I get into cloud learning subscription and guided learning, I want to show you the Launchpad. So let me go in and show you quick what the Launchpad looks like. If you need to get out to the Launchpad, you can just go and type in Oracle Launchpad on a Google search, and it's going to come up. Or you can go to education.oracle.com/launchpad, and you're going to come to this page. So from here, as you can see, you can just start learning for free. So you can get access to this right now. You can come in here and take a look at it. So when I click into this, it starts asking me right away, what is my role? What do I need to do? I'm going to be an administrator on this. Okay, so it's starting to tailor your experience from here. Maybe in this case I need to learn, I'm working on an HCM project, so I need to go from there, and it starts putting me in to the Launchpad, and from here I can start learning. So it automatically populates the filters based on what I said. We've got the administrator up there. It's going on the HCM cloud piece. And then I can start seeing in here what I've got. If I need to sort further, I can sort on benefits or the different types of skills that I need to learn. I can also even do filter capabilities and do just general search capabilities. But let's say I'm just getting started and I need to learn a little bit about HCM Cloud. I can click into this learning path and it's going to guide me along, giving me those basics, that basic understanding, that familiarity of the product. So you can see here's the topics. How do I sign in and get started? How do I explore work areas? Maybe I need to use, the global, using global and page searches, and what do I need to do there? So you can click into the specific area, and it's going to start guiding you along. It's a lot of reading material. So you can read through this. You'll see some screenshots from time to time to show you some different information. But then you'd also, and in this case, we even have a short video embedded in here for you to take a look at as well. There's also these practices, so you can do these practice exams. Studies have shown that if you are required to recall the knowledge soon after you learn it, it's much easier for you to retain that knowledge. So we do these quizzes to ensure that you learn what you're supposed to in this area. And then there's also these practices. So you can do a practice piece here. You can actually go in and start getting a little bit of a simulated hands-on environment so that you can kind of test it out and see what it looks like. The other things that you'll notice up here on the top, there is a point system. So as you continue completing sections, you can get points for that and badges. You can also add things into your favorites. So, up on the top here, we got the little heart. If I want to add that in my favorites area, I can add that in and it goes up into my favorites, and then I can come back and find it. You can share it with team members. Click on the share, and you can email it out to others if you wish to as well. So that's just kind of the quick basics of what the Launchpad looks like, just to give you a general idea there. Let's go back to our slideshow here and talk a bit more about the next pieces here. So I want to talk a little bit more about our cloud learning subscriptions. I mentioned we have the courses out there. I'm not going to really talk too much about that. I think everybody knows what a classroom training is, and you can sit in the classroom and have an instructor learning there in front of you, get hands-on labs and all those sorts of things. But what we've done with our cloud learning subscription, we've taken that same that same content, same learning methods that we have for our courses, and we've recorded them. We put our instructor in a TV studio, we recorded it, and allow you to access it 24/7 in a learning subscription format. Access to it for 12 months. All the new content comes out there, and you get availability to it. You still get hands-on labs access. You can request the labs and go in and do the same practices you would have done if you were sitting there in person. Even if you have a question for the instructor, you click on a button and you can type in your question. So we try to get as close as possible to what you get in the classroom without the necessity of going to a scheduled time and sitting there for a couple days to go through training. We've recently launched our new 5.0 platform. What we've done with that is we've upgraded a lot of functionality. So we're starting to add in instant labs. So instead of having to schedule, for a week in advance or something to do some hands-on labs, we're adding in the capability where you can just click on a button and the lab automatically renders right there for you, so you can start doing the labs. We also have some translations for additional languages. So all the subscripts can be in multiple languages then. We're adding more of that in there, as well as reporting. We've enhanced some more of the user experience, some more of the filtering capabilities, so you can, based on your learning goals, get some desired outcomes. We're adding some additional micro-learning with some animated videos and things like that are specific to maybe some of the new features areas or stuff like that. You'll find some more pieces. We've expanded some more content to some additional roles across the SAS and PAS areas, updated all of our certification exams, as well as adding a customer success service. We now have an education success manager that can work with you if you have one of these learning subscriptions to ensure that you're leveraging it to the best ability and finding the content that you need to. So let me quick flip back over and let's take a look at what the learning subscription looks like. So I have logged into our Financials Cloud Learning subscription. So as you can see, previously I had gone into the Launchpad, we looked at HCM. Now I'm in Financials Cloud. I could flip over and show EPM, procurement, in the CX side, Sales Cloud, Enablement Cloud. any of those, we have the learning on all of those different topics. And the neat thing with these learning subscriptions, that they're presented in the same type of format. So if you have multiple learning areas, you don't have to try to learn a new platform and way of learning. It looks the same in these learning subscriptions. So again, you can notice that this looks very familiar with what we looked at in the Launchpad. You have the search capability. You can start sorting based on your need. So maybe in this case, I'm going to be on the implementation team, and maybe I want to get certified, and I need to focus on general ledger. So I can go and narrow down my search based on that, and then I can go and click on this to launch into my certification path. This gives me the whole learning path. Certification is an option. You don't have to do it. The neat thing is that we include the certification as a part of these learning subscriptions. So if you do want to get certified, there's no additional cost. The first attempt at that certification exam is included with your learning subscription for all of our learning subscription subscribers. The learning subscription is a 12-month access, and you get access to all the new material that comes out in that given area. So in this case, we're looking at Financials Cloud. And here we have the different learning tracks that you can go along. And you can see there's over 73 hours of content in here to help you along the way. Not all of it may be relevant to you, but the nice thing is that material is all there and available to you, and you can pick and choose to go into what you need to. At the end is your certification if you choose to go down that track. Now, when you go into a specific area, so for instance, you can see here we've got courses, we've got skills checks, and labs. So I had mentioned where you can do the hands-on lab capabilities too. So if I go into a course area here, you'll be able to see what we've got available to you. So it is a video-based learning module. You'll be able to watch the instructor in here. You can search on any of the material as you're going through it. It's even all transcripts. So here's all the different topics over here on the left-hand side that you can go through. We can click the play button. You can start seeing the instructor as they're going along here. If you want to do hands-on labs, you click on the lab, and you can schedule or do an instant lab that's available in this area. Student guides are available to you to view, as well as you can click on this and type in and ask the instructor a question if you want. Everything is on a transcript as well, so if you want to follow along with what the instructor's doing or do a search on that, you can. Just like the Launchpad, you can click on this and add it into your favorites. You can follow your progress, see what you've completed, what you haven't completed. And you can see, the percentage of what you completed in each course and all sorts of things as well. So it's a great resource, especially for those administrators, project team members, or even power users that need to learn more about, maybe they need to do some report development or those sorts of things. So that's what our learning subscriptions look like. Again, it's a 12-month subscription. You get access to all the new features. So if I go back to on my main page here, I can go and refresh my filter, and I can go to new release training. We've got the 19D content out here available already to give you an overview of all the new features in 19D for Financials Cloud. So all of that is constantly updated as you go throughout the year as well. So that's a quick overview from the learning subscription standpoint. Let's talk a little bit about the guided learning piece, and then we'll move on into our next habits after this as well. So when we get into guided learning is an in-application guidance capability. It allows you to really streamline that enablement and adoption for your users, but not only does it provide information on how to use the system. Guided learning comes with a number of guides that we've already pre-created based on proven practice and what other users and customers are using. But from there, then, it's specific to your environment. We tailor it to make sure that it's specific to your environment. We can add in those capabilities that if you need to add in information about your policy or procedure or a best practice you want your users to use. You can even embed your own videos. Maybe you created a video that you need that you've created for new hires, and you want to embed that in there. You can put that into your system here as well. So that's a great thing that you can go into from using guided learning and leverage it. Let me actually just jump. We can talk a little bit about some of these extra pieces where you can embed content. You can have the little guides going through. You got the task list over here. But let me actually jump over and show you what guided learning is. It means so much more if you actually can see it. Let me take a look here. I'm going to pause this. And we'll go into guided learning. So I'm in a live environment here in guided learning. The neat thing about guided learning, it is a managed service. So not only can we come in here and get it set up for you, but we'll manage it going forward. One of the biggest things that we hear is when new features come out, how are we going to maintain this? How are we going to update our material? Where with guided learning, we'll maintain it for you. So when you're ready to roll out your the new 19D release, we can go and update your guided learning material to make sure that it's suffice for the 19D release. Maybe you're adding some new features you want your users to use, or you've changed the policy or procedure. We can work with you to update that on that managed service component as well. So I'm logged into a live environment here with guided learning. One thing that is different is this guided learning component that pops up here. So as a brand new user, I can get this welcome message the first time that I log into Oracle Cloud. And maybe this is a video that you've created on a change management component saying, hey, this is why we're moving to Oracle Cloud and these are the benefits we're going to see. Or maybe it's your orientation video that you kind of put together beforehand, but you've got some new hires starting 3 months after you've gone live. How are you going to train them? You can embed this type of stuff right in there. And then we can tailor this to be specific to your environment, so it starts guiding you through what your system looks like. So we just created something very generic here that just kind of gives you an idea, but you can see where it starts guiding you through step by step. Here's where the navigator is. Here's where the quick applications are. One thing to note is you can see how it grays out. That is a guided learning feature. So if you have a concern where if the users are clicking on something incorrectly, we can use this gray out feature to block out the users from accessing or going into something that they're not supposed to at that time in the process. And it just continues guiding them through step by step. As you can see, these little pop-ups. I'm in a live system. I'm not in a simulated environment, and it's guiding me through to show me what my environment looks like. So what guided learning is, though, is this little widget over here on the right-hand side. So if I go into this widget, it's going to show me, the different components. We can embed, here's your own company travel and expense policy. We can embed the links to that. Maybe it's a video you want to put in there. In this case, let me go in and show, I need to create an expense report, maybe. My first time doing that, or it's been a long time since I've done it. We can go into this, and it starts guiding me through step by step. And then from there, you can start embedding some of your own information. So the next thing that pops up here is we've got a link here that I can click on, and it launches me out to our own policy and procedure documents on our expense policies. So you can embed this type of material and information right within your system so that your users are not getting something incorrect as they're going along. And they can continue being guided along and step by step as you go. And it's telling you what you need to do. So as I'm going through, it's telling me, go and create a new item. And you can see we also have these little pop-ups. This is another thing with guided learning. We call them hidden tips. So these can pop up and be specific. They don't even need, your user doesn't even need to launch a guide, and those things can pop up. So these are just a quick example of what the guided learning can look like. If you want to do some other more advanced pieces as well, you can get in and where guided learning knows what you've selected. So if I go in and use another one here, like doing an absence request, it can start guiding me through doing an absence request this first time. As you can see, I'm still in my live system. But now maybe as I go in to do my absence, depending on what they select, we have different protocols. Maybe it's really critical that if they're selecting jury duty, they need to do some extra steps here. So it knows that you selected jury duty and saying, hey, please contact your HR person to review the jury duty policy and get your proper forms filled out. If I go back and select sick time, maybe we've got a different policy and procedure. So here, click. We can put in that extra information where, hey, we've got 3 days of sick leave that you can use. So this is some neat extra things that we can add in there. I've actually had some customers use this where people weren't getting paid right, or they were trying to submit more than their policy allowed for sick days. We can have it pop up immediately right in here instead of having to go back and trying to fix it later and maybe have to redo their payouts because they did it wrong previously. So that's some great ways where guided learning can be leveraged not only to do some enablement, but to make sure that users are doing things accurately and we're putting the information right in front of them when they need it. So that's kind of a quick overview of guided learning. As I mentioned, it's a maintained managed service for you. So as you're going through and updating your stuff, or the new features comes out, we can make sure that that is all updated for you as you go along as well. All right, so let's continue on here. So we've got kind of the first one we talked about, your investing in yourself. Now let's talk about how do we remain in the know. That's habit number 2. You know, obviously there's these new features and we're at that cloud speed and you need to be able to keep up with all of this. So with this, we've got, you got to keep up with the product updates and things like that. Obviously there's some newsletters that you can go out and check out. We've had blogs, as I mentioned. We've got even this one out on our Oracle University blog you can check out. Online communities and forums like Customer Cloud Connect or your My Oracle support. User groups. There's a number of different user groups out there. Maybe you've got a local user group that you work with, as well as social media. You know, I'm posting things that I find interesting out there on my LinkedIn all the time. So if you find some people that you want to go and follow, you can leverage those sorts of things. You know, Twitter directories. I've got a bunch of links out here available to you, and you can go to that blog, and you'll see all these links that you can come and check out. Let's take a little bit deeper dive in some of this need to know. You know, if you have a cloud learning subscription, we have the new release training capabilities. So you've got the learning paths and the new capabilities there for the new topic. You can always stay up to speed on those that way. Customer Cloud Connect is a wonderful way to stay up to speed. So let me actually quick flip over. We've got Customer Cloud Connect out here. Customer Cloud Connect is a great way to stay connected, understanding what is happening within the cloud community. So you can see they've got different forums out here. As I mentioned, go to forums. You can check out the different forums available that might be relevant to your specific area, where you can get on their email list or be able to come out and check them out. There's an idea sharing area. Events. Check out some of the events and be able to stay up to speed based on the events out there. You can contribute. Maybe you learned something and you want to put some more information in there. There's the learning pieces. So everything that I talked about with Oracle University, that's all out here as well. So you can see here's a link to our Launchpad, the Launchpad community, our advanced learning. Those are going to be the cloud learning subscriptions areas and stuff like that. And then documentation. So if you need to go out to some of the new features readiness material is a great place to see what the new features are, as well as the documentation library. It's a great resource. I'll talk a little bit more about the documentation library here as well. So that's the Customer Cloud Connect. I suggest staying in touch with that. Your My Oracle support community. That's another place where you can go out to stay in touch with things. So here's the My Oracle support community. You can see they put out different discussions and information out there. If you want to go to content, you can click on the content page and be able to go and find any of the new information, those sorts of pieces out there in the My Oracle support as well. Great resource to be able to find some additional features and stay up to speed on the new topics and content available. As I mentioned before, blogs. I did put in the blog to this webinar, so you can go out and check that out. But obviously, Oracle has many blogs. Go and find partners, someone that you trust and understand what they're putting out there and like. Go and find those blogs to stay up to speed on any of the new features as well. That's a great resource. Again, if you guys do have any questions, please feel free to put those into the chat. I've covered the first 2 habits. I have not seen any questions in the chat yet. But if you do, please put those in, and I can stop at the end of each of these if we do need to answer any questions at all. So habit number 3, the next thing is find the answer fast. Not everybody can know everything. I'll sit here and say I'm an expert at this, that, or the other thing, but even if I'm an expert, I can't know everything. But I can make it look like I know everything if I know how to find that answer quickly. So let me give you a few ideas of what you can do to find the answer fast. Really what this is keep a repository of resources you can access quickly to go out and find that information. Bookmark these, have them in a filing cabinet, have them on speed dial if they're individual, those sorts of things. So And number one, in the knowledge base area of My Oracle Support, you can go out there and check out the knowledge base. I've got a link out there to the knowledge base in My Oracle Support if you want to check that out. There's some great information there. Sometimes that's, maybe there's a known issue, and there's a workaround for you to be able to work with. Instead of going and submitting an SR right away, just go and check that out and see if there's something in there. Product documentation. So you can go to product documentation and maybe find your answer. Obviously, here at Oracle University, we have our learning subscriptions. I have a lot of people that they use the learning subscriptions ongoing, and they just go and use the search functionality and say, hey, how do I create OTBI reports? Or what about SmartView? And they can learn it really quick and be able to check out the information that they need and get an answer in a few minutes or 30 minutes, a couple hours, whatever it might be. Online forums is another great place. You can find, someone else may have had the same issue that you had, and you can go and find how they alleviated that. So a little bit deeper, in the Oracle Docs, let me flip over and show you the Oracle Docs site. So if you go into docs.oracle.com, you'll be able to find all of the different Oracle documentation. So let's say you need to go into a particular area. Since my background is in EPM, I love the EPM cloud stuff. So maybe I need to go in and learn Hyperion planning. Here's the documentation out here. Maybe I'm on the user side and I need to learn how to work with ad hoc reports. And I can click into this and it's going to take me right out to the area on how to work with ad hoc reports and how to create those and work with dynamic reports, and it gives you the step-by-step in here. So maybe it's just you need a quick document to be able to find your answer. You can go into Oracle Docs to be able to find that. Another way is through the learning subscriptions. So you can use the filters to kind of quickly find it. Or another piece is the search tool. I see a lot of people leveraging that and just saying, hey, I don't know anything about this. Someone asked me about it and I need to figure it out. Or maybe it's during your project and, hey, we need to learn this for tomorrow's session. Let me go and check it out. I've often done that even myself. Hey, there's a topic that I haven't talked about or worked with in a while. I go to our learning subscriptions, do a quick search for it, find it, and learn what I need to before I jump into my next session to cover that. Again, My Oracle Support, you can always go out and check it out to get your answer. But I highly recommend going out to finding, like the knowledge base and the different documentation, because then the last step, really submitting an SR, is kind of the last resort. Go in and use all these other resources. Honestly, you're going to be able to find it pretty quick if you got a good resource built up. To go out to either your learning subscription or the documentation or even in My Oracle Support using the knowledge base and findings. A lot of times you're going to find your answer before you need to go and submit an SR. So if you need to, obviously, though, that is a way. If you can't find anything or maybe it's a unique situation, you can go and find the My Oracle Support and go and submit an SR. Make sure you're submitting it with the correct severity level as well. I've seen where a lot of times they're using top priority severity level, and it's not a big issue out there. So that was our habit number 3 of finding the answer fast. Then the next piece is getting engaged. That's habit number 4. So habit number 4 is getting engaged. And how do you get engaged? Really what it is getting to know the right people. If I can't find what I need online and those sorts of things or through the training that I've learned, who can I reach out to? So, find out and engage with your product experts and the people that can support you. So, number 1 is, obviously you can get to know your Oracle Support people, learn how you find the information you need on Oracle Support as well as through support tickets. If you have a customer success manager or an implementation success manager that you're working with. From our side, from our enablement specialists here at Oracle University, we have a number of different resources here at Oracle University that can help to guide you. We have our account managers who can work with you to get you into the right training courses that you need. If you already have a learning subscription or some resources there, we have our customer success or education success managers who can help steer you in the right direction of where to find the learning that you need, as well as people like myself who are the solution consultants, the learning strategists who can help to guide you in the right direction. Other places are, or maybe you've got a trusted partner, some consultants that you've worked with that you really you want to have them on speed dial and available to you. Go out to forums. I mentioned Customer Cloud Connect is a great place to go out and find forums and answers to things. There are other independent forums out there that may have some great information for you too, as well as user communities. There's a number of user communities that have some great information where you can go out to. So really, what does that mean? How can your network help you? Number one, it can help educate you. From an Oracle University standpoint here, we can help identify your training needs and connect you to the right tools and resources that you need. Maybe it's not even Oracle University that you need, that we can help direct you into getting to the right communities or documentation and things like that as well. It helps to enable you to become proficient with those tools and learn what you need to engage with, as well as be able to advocate for you. If there's some training material that we're missing at Oracle University here, we'd love to hear from you. We can advocate for you to try to get it added into our learning subscriptions. When it comes to the product side, maybe there's a feature that's missing, and we can, and there's different people here at Oracle that we can advocate and try to bring that to light to our development team and bring that up. So we can be your advocates as well. Help to evaluate. So sometimes there's some areas that you just don't know what you don't know. That's one of my favorite things when people come to me. They say, "I just don't know what I don't know. Can you help me?" There's many times that I don't know what I don't know, and I'm asking for help. So there's individuals in this network that we can help you to evaluate and understand where maybe some of those gaps are and where you can optimize and improve. And the next thing is evolve. Education, learning, how to raise your IQ in general, it's evolved. We all started in classrooms and sitting in front of a computer and an instructor, right? I learned on typewriters and having to type things and moving into different. You're working with Mavis Beacon to learn to type and those sorts of things. And now my kids in school, they're on their Chromebooks and they're doing stuff starting in kindergarten, first grade. And it's just the world has evolved, and now we have learning subscriptions and we have in-application learning and all these sorts of things. So make sure that you're staying up to speed on these capabilities and leveraging your network to understand how can we evolve and do things in a new way. The last habit, as we get through here, is validating and testing. Every good project, we don't just go and implement it and go. No, we validate and test it. We make sure that it's going to work. And really, you need to do the same thing when it comes to education and raising your IQ around product knowledge. So my favorite thing that I always tell people is, just because you saw something on YouTube doesn't mean it is accurate or is a best practice. This is actually one of the things I've been telling my kids lately. Just because you saw it on YouTube, don't believe it. It doesn't mean it's true. Make sure you're doing your research. So just because you saw someone posted something, it might be 3 or 4 years old. It might not be valid anymore. Maybe this person did it that way, but it might not be the best way to do it. Make sure you're going and finding multiple areas that are doing the same type of thing. So make sure you get the information from quality sources. Start to bookmark the different areas that you know is quality. Obviously, coming from Oracle, it's coming from the source, so we're getting out the information to you. Or find other resources that you trust and you like the way that they do things. Validate the information by finding out multiple resources. Just because one person posted on YouTube doesn't mean that it's the right way to do it. I remember I was working with someone once that said, "Oh, I found this on YouTube. It's this great workaround, doing this thing in pushing it out to Excel and running these macros and this and that and the other thing." And I was like, "Okay, when did that YouTube video?" "Oh, I found it, a couple years ago. It posted from a couple years." Like, well, did you know there's actually a new feature that now there's one step instead of the 10 steps that you just did? Oh, I didn't so they were bogging down their system and they didn't realize it. So find it from multiple sources to make sure that it is truly valid. Make sure you're using a trusted resource. If you're reaching out to someone, don't just pick someone out of your Rolodex that you don't know. Make sure it's someone that you trust and understand what they're going to tell you. And then the last thing is make sure you test your knowledge before you implement. You can go and get certified. You can go and do hands-on practice. Don't do it in your live environment. Do it in a test or dev environment. Test it before you just say, "Oh yeah, let's just click this and see if it works." Make sure you're testing it before you roll it out. So, a couple things out there. From our learning subscription standpoint, we have our certifications. We also have the hands-on lab capability where you can go and test your knowledge out there. Make sure you're doing that before you go and just say, hey, let me just flip the switch and see if it works. Those are the types of things I'm talking about when you validate and test. Make sure you understand your knowledge and get it from multiple sources before you go forward. All right, so I'm going to do a few wrap-up things and then answer any questions that we've got out there. So as we wrap up, let's just kind of do a quick recap on those 5 habits. Number 1, invest in yourself. You've already started that. You're on this webinar, so thank you. You've already taken care of that component. But obviously there's some more pieces to invest in yourself, whether it's time or money resources. You've got conferences you can go out to. You can start attending more webinars. Obviously our Oracle University capabilities, whether it's classroom or the learning subscriptions or guided learning, those sorts of things. Invest in yourself and your team. Number 2 is remain in the know. Just because you learned something 6 months ago doesn't mean it's still valid. So make sure you're staying in the know with those new features and things coming out. Leverage your resources available, whether it's learning subscriptions, online content, the communities out there like Customer Cloud Connect and those sorts of things. Habit number 3 is find the answer fast. You can look really, really smart, even if you don't know the answer, if you can find the answer fast. I will sit here and admit that there are times that while I'm on the phone, I'm looking something up online, and I'm getting the answer right there and then. So it looks like I know it. I didn't know it. I just knew where to find it. So be able to find that answer quickly. Get that list of bookmarks, get the resources available to you to be able to find that answer fast. Get engaged. Get the right people around you. That's habit number 4. Make sure you're pulling into the right people, whether it's those of us here at Oracle University, your partners, your implementers, those on our Oracle support team, those sorts of things. And last but certainly not least is make sure you validate it. Again, just because you saw it somewhere online doesn't mean it's accurate, or doesn't mean it's the best, or doesn't even mean it's valid currently. There may be some new things available that you need to, so find it from multiple sources, find it from good quality, reputable sources, and then test your knowledge as well. Use your test or dev environment, use our cloud learning subscription labs to go out and test, go and get certified to make sure you're testing your knowledge, those sorts of things as well. All right. With that said, let me pull this up. Obviously, here at Oracle University, we're committed to your success. Please, come out and find me on LinkedIn. Happy to connect with you. You can follow along, and I'm posting, education stuff, or even just general Oracle information, things that I find interesting out there on my LinkedIn quite frequently. So feel free to connect with me and check those out. I will be on my LinkedIn. Tomorrow morning, I will be putting the blog post out there. So if you don't have it here, can't find it, I will be posting out to my LinkedIn tomorrow morning, so you will find that. If you do have any other questions about Oracle University, you can find us on our website there, oracle.com/education, or you can contact us at oucloud_ww@oracle.com, and we can get you to the right people here at Oracle University to help get you into the right avenues. All right, so with that said, we got a few more minutes here to answer some questions. And I do see we do have a few questions here in chat. Primarily the questions that I've seen is after the session we'll receive recorded a link to this. I believe, yes, that's going to be the case, but let me ask Gretchen, I believe that will go out afterwards. They will have a link to the recording. Is that correct?
Exactly correct, yes. It's typically about 3 or 5 days, and those follow-up emails will go right out to everyone.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I think some other people asked about the hyperlinks, and can we get some information on that. That's actually a great place. All of those links are going to be out on the blog post. So you can go and find that right now. You don't have to wait for the recording and the email to come out to you guys. You can go and find that out on the blog post. All those hyperlinks are out there and available to you with a kind of an abbreviated version of what we went through today. Then there was one other question here on the chat. The question was, how can we engage get some engagement with experts to help drive us on training process? So I guess my recommendation for that is, certainly here at Oracle University, that's what our strong suit is working on, the training process, the engagement, and we can help make some recommendations, whether it's using some resources available to you through Oracle University or get you into the right people. So what I would suggest is if you want to do that, right here is that contact us. Feel free to reach out and contact us there. We will be able to help you get engaged to the right experts and right people on your team to help get you engaged along the training process. All right. Well, with that said, I think we're at the top of the hour here, so perfect timing. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. I hope you found this information valuable. Again, feel free to go out to the blog post to find the links so you can use this as a resource to come back to and leverage these avenues and these habits that I recommended. Again, pick and choose. This isn't for everybody. These habits are general, so find the ones that work best for you and engage and work with those. And again, here at Oregon University, we're happy to help you and get you into the right expert areas and along that training and education process. So thank you again for joining, and good luck on your 5 habits and happy learning. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.